When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
I'd avoid her! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Layer Games. That's right, Scorpion Layer Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, their profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Layer Games on Facebook and everywhere today.
Hi, I'm Douglas Downing III, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this next guest has a new indie film out called Death Sonata, which is a psychological thriller where a psychologist tries to find an unstable patient before he commits the unthinkable, but he might be too late. And there's a lot to talk to because this guy's been in a game since 2004, but let's say hello to Douglas Downing III.
What's up, Doc?
Douglas, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
All right. Of course. And thank you, Aaron, for making the connection again.
Yeah.
So, how has been the response for this? And I know it's out there streaming. Where can people check this out if they wish to do so?
Yeah, so the response has been, better than I hoped for such a small indie little horror. It came out in 04 on streaming. 2024, sorry, not 04. In 2024, it came out on streaming. It started off on Amazon and Plex, Tubi. It's on Fandango, It's on all, pretty much every streaming app except for like Hulu, Amazon, obviously. But it's been doing very well. It won Best Indie Horror at Film Threat. I don't know if you know Film Threat, but they
I've heard of it.
nominated it. And then, yeah, and it won back in February of 2026. It won Best Indie Horror. It was the smallest indie movie out of all the other horror movies I beat. So that was pretty cool. So overall, the movie's been doing really good. It did well enough that now I can focus on the sequel called Death's Messiah. So yeah, so it's been doing good. But the best place to watch it, obviously Amazon, but free, but has ads, Tubi
Hey,
and
nothing wrong
Plex.
with Tubi.
Yeah, nothing. I told you tomorrow I'm Tubi's doing a whole watch party for me. Tubi horror for Death
Nice.
Sonata. Yeah.
So where did the inspiration come from to put this project together?
So now we go back to 2004, like you were saying. I graduated from film school, and one of the first ideas I had to make as a short film was called A Boy Named Death. It was about a 15-year-old boy who sees death, and he suffers from schizophrenia, and he feels like if he stops taking his pills, he'll stop seeing death, but obviously incorrect. And then he starts going on a killing spree, killing his best friend and his brother. So it was like a 20-minute short film called Boy Named Death. It's on YouTube. So from there, I came up with the idea for the feature like 12 years later. So in 2016, I started coming up with the video with Death Sonata, where he's an adult now. But it's more about the psychotherapist, and it's about this drug addicted character named Matthew. And the psychotherapist, he's obsessed with Charles. It's the name of the killer in Death Sonata with the mask. And he's so obsessed with him, he's sending all of his patients to go, find them, and they're all dying one by one. And he thinks it's Charles, but don't know if it's Charles. So he meets Matthew, and Matthew's like the final step, and he thinks this kid can find him. So Matthew's obsessed with oxycodone pills. So he promises to give Matthew oxycodone pills if he goes to see Charles and find him and bring him back, because he has a huge ego, Dr. Fredrickson, and he feels like he needs to cure the one patient he can never cure. So it's like a Silence of the Lambs meets Seven type of feel, like psychological horror with brutality, because it's a slasher too. There's tons of killing. Charles is killing everyone one by one. I don't want to give too much away to people who haven't seen it yet, but it's mainly a slasher with psychological elements, with good performances by Dr. Fredrickson. He's a great actor. He came in from Australia. But overall, that's how I came with. Yeah, I've always been obsessed with this idea, and now I want to finish it. I want to make it a trilogy. So Death Sonata, Death's Messiah, then Death's Resurrection. So right now I'm in pre-production for Messiah.
Nice. Well, I should mention, and I'll get grief for it, but I don't care. Mr. Fancy Pants there, because with the title Sonata there, that actually comes from a classical musical tie. So,
Yep.
has music been a big influence for you?
Yeah, 100%. That's where I came up with the sonata part of it, because, Moonlight Sonata and sonatas is the final chapter pretty much in a lot of musicians' pieces. So that's why when I called it Death Sonata, I've always been a huge fan of classical music my whole life. So like every movie I've done incorporates classical music. I prefer using that over anything else. Um, I try to do original classical music. Like for this next one, it's all going to be original classical music. Like thankfully, I have a composer. He's like a classical. I guess I don't know if you say musician, but that's what he does, classical music, and he's won 2 Grammys. He's pretty well known. He's a good friend of mine named Nadeem, and he's going to do all the original music for the next one. For this one, the first one, Death Sonata, I composed the sonata that you hear in the movie at the organ, the church organ. So I made 3 renditions of that just on my keyboard, recorded it, put it through synthesizers, all that kind of stuff. And then I used music through other various things that anyone can do for an independent film to save money. But now that we have a bigger budget for the sequel, I'm going to have an actual full original score done, and it's going to be all classical music, because that's just, for me, it's haunting. I love horror movies with that, especially if it takes place current day. It takes place 2026, 2027, and it's got classical music with that gothic vibe feel. That's my go-to.
And just for my own personal shits and giggles, which will probably sound normal to people who listen. Your buddy's not going to be cutting his ear off like Beethoven, is he?
I don't know. He might have already. I don't know because he's losing his mind. So who knows?
And we hope he never finds it. We hope he never finds it. See, I'm a sick and twisted son of a bitch. I don't know why Aaron
Good. I like that.
deal with
That's
me.
good.
No. So, you mentioned about some of the things like the Oxycontin and everything else.
Yeah, the drugs.
Did
that
you
he
find
did,
it? Did you find it difficult to have some deep themes? Because there's been issues, obviously, the past 10, 15 years, whether it be with drugs or just mental health, and just there's so many different topics that you touch on. So
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing for me with this movie. It's more about mental, like it's a horror movie, but it also deals with mental health. Deals with bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, egotism, which is also a mental health disorder that people have, and schizophrenia, so you have Charles, mass killer, schizophrenic, egotism for Dr. Fredrickson, and borderline personality disorder with Matthew slash bipolar disorder, pill addiction. And there's other characters in the movie that have deals with sexual abuse. One of the characters was abused. Like all the characters, all the therapist patients all have their own mental issues. So I was trying to really deal with that, mental health. Because even my first film, Closure, I don't know if you saw that. I made that in '06. That was my first feature that dealt with mental health. It dealt with abuse. So like all the films I try to make, I try to put that kind of impact point into it, even though like with a horror film, people don't want that shoved down their throats, which I'm not trying to do. But that's just what the characters are. It's a guy with schizophrenia, and it's a guy his ego is insane, Dr. Fredrickson, and then you have a guy with bipolar disorder and is a pill addict. So like, and I felt like oxycodone. I've dealt with so many people, friends, family that have had that horrible addiction and lost their lives, and that's like, for me, I was like, that's gonna be what this character suffers from, and he's like the one scene in the film where Dr. Fredrickson's throwing the pills at him, and he's going to the ground, picking them up, shoving them in his mouth like a dog, So that's how Dr. Fredrickson was teaching, like treating his patients, pretty much. So
absolutely. So how did you feel with taking on a new skill, let's say, in being one of the lead actors, but also wearing multiple hats with writing, directing, and when you're dealing with a small budget, doing multiple things with very limited resources?
Well, for me, like acting, that was my first time ever acting, really. Like I've done voice acting in the past. I did voice acting for commercials, cartoons. I had a cartoon called Little Lewis. I'm sure you saw, I talked about it in the interview I did, the previous one with Aaron, where I talked about like it was picked up by Fox, and then there was a whole scuffle, and then Bob's Burgers took my spot. That was my spot.
Those
That should have been
bastards.
exactly. So anyway, so that's where I got that was my first technically like aspect of acting, doing voice acting. I did like 5, 6 voices on that show. But directing, that was my bread and butter. That's what when you go to film school, which is unnecessary, obviously, but when you're 18 and you want to learn technical aspects, that's what pretty much taught me when I went to school, was the proper way to, each editing program, cameras, all that kind of crap. You can't teach someone to write or direct, but so from there, that's where I do just wanted to direct. But then when I 10, 15 years later, I'm doing Death Sonata. I'm like, I want to play this guy, Charles. I want to play this big brute. There's not a lot of dialogue. He's just killing people and he says some things here and there. And to help me with that kind of dialogue, my partner, Sam, he really helped out bring out some of the dialogue for Charles to say. Because originally some of the stuff, I'm like, yeah, this ain't really good. The original script was 120, 30 pages. We brought it down to 80 something pages, And I'm like, I could play this character. That'll save us some money because at the end of the day, we didn't pay any of the actors, thankfully, because they all believed in the project. Like I was saying, the one guy came in from Australia, and the other guy, it was his first feature film, who played Matthew. And then I'm like, if they're doing it, I'm doing it. I'm going to play the lead, not the lead, actually, one of the 3 leads. The other guys are there just as much as I am, even though I'm the last one standing. But I probably just gave away some of the movie. But now I'm going to do it again in the second one. But the part of Charles in the second one is not as big as the first one. Now it's more about the detective and the Messiah guy. But I enjoyed acting. I didn't like it because because with remembering the lines and trying to direct at the same time and produce, make sure everyone shows up on set. because my crew was 5 people. That was it. But it
Absolutely.
was
Hold on.
fun.
Line? No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. I did that many times. I'd be like, line, and thankfully to Jules, my assistant director, this young he was a film student from France, and he came in and he was my assistant director, and he was great. And I would be like, line, and he would be like, da 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 da, and I'd be like, all right. That's the beauty of editing, because editing, you could just put it all together. No one sees your mistakes unless you're stupid enough to put them in the film.
That'd be me. No, but it makes it for entertaining, putting the
Yeah,
bad shit in
exactly.
there. No, but well, what attracted you to film school and the entertainment business to begin with?
I don't know, my whole life, really. Like, I think back when I was like 14, like that era of film really made me be like, I want to make, actually before that, maybe 10. I don't know. I wrote my first book slash whatever at 10 years old, called Kids Town. And I was 10 and it was like 100 pages of just violence. I just always loved violent films because I would always watch them. My father would always, like, we would watch horror movies together. That's who got me into horror films. And I was like, I can write something cool like that. And I forgot the movie. Maybe it was Children of the Corn. That's one of the ones that made me really, yes. So that was like one of the first horror films that I really got into. The Thing, Night of the Living Dead. So all those kind of movies. I was like 10, 11 years old seeing all these horror and I loved them. Um, and then I just was like, I want to be a filmmaker. But my first film was a drama. My second film was a drama. The other films were documentaries. And then this was my first foray into horror feature. But I always, always, always wanted to be a filmmaker. Like, I got sidetracked when I was out in LA because I lived out there for 15 years, not 15 years, 12 years. I got into the whole fitness thing and I was like being a personal trainer because you don't make much money in the beginning of the film industry. So I had to make money somehow. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to be a personal trainer. And on my side, I'll make movies and stuff. So, but in the end, always film. I moved back to New York back in 2018 and here we are. I started Dim Light Productions with my partner Sam. Here we are making movies, horror movies.
Well, what did your family think when you said, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a shot. I'm gonna go out west. I'm gonna, try the film school and just getting that ball rolling," what you were just talking about?
Yeah, so like when I officially came out saying I want to make film at 14 years old, my father wasn't too happy about it because even though he's the one showing me the movies, but I was an athlete. Like I was playing sports and I was a good player at baseball, so everyone thought I was going to be an athlete. And I'm like, no, I got the mind of an artist. I want to make movies. My mom always loved it, supported it. So when I turned 18, I said I want to go to film school. So I entered to a bunch of film schools. Didn't get into many of them. So I'm like, all right, let me just go to this fucking film school. So I finally get to a film school. I do it for 2 years, graduate, and then I moved to LA at 20, 21. And it's just like, nowadays you don't need to move to LA. So anyone listening to this, you just make movies where you want to make them. When you're younger, like when I was younger at 20, 20 years ago, it's like, oh, you got to be in LA to make movies. Now no one makes movies in LA. But back then, it's like you had to be out there. So I moved out there. Family was sad, obviously. But I came back every few months just to see my family. And I was out there and I was lucky enough when I was 21, I got the money to make my first feature film, Closure. It played at Woodstock Film Festival. It was in Filmmaker Magazine as one of the top 5 indies of 2005. And then I got picked up by William Morris Endeavor back then. So right away at 21, you're picked up by these people. You're like, yeah, my career is going. This is great. But then it's like, there's roadblocks everywhere. It's like, you're too young. Now you got to direct music videos, commercials. So I directed a radio show for CBS for a few years just to get, So anyway, that was my experience when I first moved out there. And then I was like, fuck the film industry. I'm going to work in the health industry. So I did that for a few years. And I said, fuck that. I want back to the film industry. So that's what I did. So it's always been my passion. And when I moved out there at a young age, I knew I just had to focus on it. And then moving back to New York was the best decision because I'm closer to my family, closer to what I'm passionate about. Because mentally, you have to be in the right mind to make film. Otherwise, you're just going to make it for what? What's the point? And if you're not passionate about it.
And didn't you actually have a spot like that with Death Sonata where you had zero fucks given and it's like, it's in the can, but it's like, yeah, as far as like editing and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, for a few years it sat there, yeah. Yeah, so when I first came back to New York, that was the first project I made, and I just, when I first finished it, I was like, fuck, I don't know, man. And then, man, I said COVID, that happened too, and I just lost interest in that movie. I lost interest in a lot of shit, like a lot of people did during that time. And what brought me back to finish that film was going to Mexico to do a documentary called Mission Guerrero. That really brought me back, got my passion back to filmmaking. And the guy who edited Mission Guerrero, Chris Davis, great editor, he was looking for more work. And I was like, look, man, I got this hard drive with this movie called Death Sonata on it. It's not touched or anything. It's just a bunch of footage. I shot it a few years ago before COVID, and I want to finish it now, finally. This is in 2022 or 3. After I did that documentary, I'm like, I really want this done. Will you do it? I can't pay you much. And he watched the footage. He's like, hell yeah, man. I love the way this is done. This feels like a raw 1970s, 80s feel of a horror film. It's got a lot of gore in it. And we sat there together for 6 months straight and finished it. And then we just sent it off to distributors, got picked up, and then sent it off to people who love horror movies. And then, Film Threat saw it and loved it and gave it a great review and then nominated and it won. And the rest, it's doing well now on streaming.
Absolutely. Well, since you are in the New York area, not sure if you're in the city, outside the city.
Yeah,
let's just say we're in the woods, but I do have a tie with a film commissioner because of her husband. I won't say is one of the founders of Troma, but if we ever need to make that connection for you, let's make it happen.
All right. Sounds good to me, man.
Hi, Lloyd. You're my buddy now.
Because guess the editor of this film worked for Troma.
Yeah.
He edited that documentary they did. Cons, remember that Cons documentary that Troma finally released? Yeah. He was one of the editors on that. Yeah, he's got a plaque. He doesn't know them like you do, but I'm saying he worked there for like 2 years. He's got a plaque. When you work for Troma, I guess, they give you like a plaque. It's pretty cool. Yeah. That's funny that you said that and we have that connection there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was up there to pick up a prize for a Canadian fan from something we did, and because they don't ship international, even though it was just outside of Toronto. Like, shit. So I go up there and I go, well, hey, we're doing this thing downstairs, little commercial ad, and we're putting you to work. So next thing I know, I'm in this ad, and they're like, hey, you got any ideas to make this work? I said, well, what if I do this, and this physically? All right, let's next thing I know, make it look like, they're good people up there, though.
Yeah, no, I heard everything.
Yeah, I was actually talking to them because doing something trauma related in a couple weeks, but it's all good. So, what was the documentary about in Mexico?
Yeah, Mission Guerrero. So my friend Tarek, he's a dermatologist in Houston, Texas, and he does a mission trip every year in Guerrero, Mexico, and Chihuahua. That's like what it's called, that area. So like at that time, I was like, this is in 2022, and I'm like, I really want to. Next time you go, can I come with you and document you and make a documentary about what you do out there? Because he does free skin cancer treatments and cleft lip treatment. Like he does everything skin wise for all these farmers and all these people in Mexico in that area. It's been around for I think 30 years, this thing, but they started with dental work, and then now they brought in plastic surgery work, and then they brought in Tarek now for dermatology work to help with skin cancer. So I came in and I documented him for about 2 weeks, and so I for a year I sat on it, edited it. That's where I met Chris, because I hired him to edit it and released it. Won some awards. It helped them raise more money for better equipment for that area, and it's called the Guerrero Clinic. And it's on YouTube. I put it on YouTube for free. It's like 30 minutes. The documentary originally was like over 2 hours, and I was like, no one's gonna watch this, so we just did 30 minutes. So we cut up a lot of stuff. But Tarek is one of my best friends. He came out to LA for me with the award show, and he's in, I don't know, he's a big supporter of mine, so it means a lot to me.
With Death Sonata, and sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place, but
all right, man. I like.
Yeah, it's a circus monkey brain, as I like to say. No, but with the movie, how much research did you do with things like psychology and just some of the topics that are serious in the film? But how much deep diving did you do to look at some of these different areas?
Yeah, well, with the mental disorders, I pretty much seen it throughout my whole life. I know a lot of people with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder, so I witnessed that firsthand. Schizophrenia, I never witnessed firsthand. So the best thing I could really do is just research for a year. I just watched videos of patients with schizophrenia, seeing their moods and all that kind of stuff. So I did research that way. Like I personally never went to meet someone who has that. Well, actually, no, I did. No. I did meet one guy who had it because someone I knew, their brother had it, and I met him. But you didn't really know he's not a serial killer like Charles is in this movie with schizophrenia. But and then with the therapists, I met with a few therapists, like two therapists, just talking to them, nothing special, because you know this guy's
Well,
more of a psychotherapist. I didn't meet with a psychotherapist, but I
well,
did
you
some
know,
research.
I found a way to solve that. Whiskey.
Yeah, that's what he drank in the movie.
There you go. Oh boy.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
boozing it up, Fredrickson.
Did you do you ever see this coming out on physical, or is it a
Yes, yeah, it's gonna come out soon. Yep. My distributor, we're doing it right now. We're putting it out on DVD. I'll be happy to send you a copy. So
nice?
yeah,
So did you have a lot of extra material to put on Blu-rays and DVDs for guys
unfortunately,
like me?
unfortunately, I didn't. I wish I did. I thought about doing a commentary, director's commentary, but there's really nothing like there's no behind the scenes because when we shot the film, it was just me, the DP, the first AD, the gaffer and grip, and that's it. There was no one shooting behind the scenes stuff. Like there's like I guess there's some stuff for like gaffs and this and that, but to me, I'm like, I don't know if anyone's gonna really like that, but it's just gonna be, I guess, just the DVD of the movie. Um, yeah, and hopefully from all
So,
these interviews, people can hear about the making of the film, like me telling, like especially tomorrow when I do the live watch party, and I'm gonna be talking, you know,
right on, and
that's pretty much like a director's commentary right there. Yes, yeah.
yeah, because I host 4 movies a week as well for an audience. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and we try to have people on associate with the films,
That's
which is
cool.
cool. So it's
Yeah,
like a unique commentary and all. And
yeah.
it was funny. I won't say what film did recently. It the film is the shits, right?
Yeah.
And the series, I guess, because it was TV movie and all that stuff. It was something done with sci-fi, but I had somebody on for the first one because we ended up switching things after that because it was a whole day that was booked for a film with
Yeah.
an audience. But it was funny because the guest brings up randomly. She's, oh well, I go hang out with these folks and like they keep working on her chops, and it's like I know that person and I know his wife and I know She goes, she looked at me like, yeah, okay, like no. And I start talking about the inside baseball with, she goes, oh, you do know. I said,
Hmm.
yep. It's like you don't do this kind of thing and not make connections and learn things over 14 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And of course, I got messages from, did you really tell her that? I said, it was all in fun and jest. It was good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, yes, guilty. Yes, I said this, and that. I think you know me well enough now that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Death Messiah. You said you're in pre-production for that.
Yeah.
So where do you think, or I should say, how long do you think it will take for pre-production? What's the goal to get this project out there?
Yeah, so the script is complete. Sam and I finished it because we wrote the first one together, Death Sonata. First draft again. I like to write too much, 130 pages. Now we got it back down to 80. I feel like that's the key for horror, 83 pages. I don't know why, but I feel like you don't need too much shit. So the script's done. We have a lot more money for this one because of the success of Death Sonata, and Death Sonata has a pretty decent little fan base. So there's people that want to see the sequel, Death Messiah. So the biggest thing now is to finding locations and the proper actors I want to play the detective Karis, that's her name, and the Messiah guy. So those are like the two mains. And then you have Charles in the background killing people again, obviously. but it's different this time. It's a whole different feel, this movie, compared to Death Sonata. Death Sonata is more of a slasher. This is more of a psychological movie with brutal violence. Like, the violence is going to be ridiculous in this one. Like, I'm doing only practical effects. I've been meeting with a lot of pretty much top-notch practical effect people. I met them because I go to like a bunch of horror cons. I met this one guy in Connecticut. He's really good, so I'm hopefully to get him to do it. He's got his own school and everything in Connecticut. And we've been speaking back and forth. So the goal is to hopefully start either fall of 2026 or spring of 2027. Because I'm not one of those people just going to make a movie for the hell of it. I've done that before. I made a movie for the hell of it. Never came, like, I made a movie with like, the biggest budget movie I made, and it's still not out yet because of, I don't know why. But I directed it, produced it. And it was a thriller horror film. You can see it on my IMDb. I don't even want to talk about it because it's not worth it because it's not out yet. It won a bunch of festivals and everything, but I guess the financiers just don't want to release it because they expect to get more money for it than it's really worth. But that's not how distribution works. You put your movie out there, and then that's how it makes money. It doesn't get bought. That's just unless you're a big movie or a movie that's at Sundance or Cannes or you win these little independent film festivals. That's cool.
You're not going to get
Exactly. So anyway, hopefully one day the person realizes, all right, just fucking put the movie out already. It's been 2 years, 3 years. We all worked hard on that movie, and it's not out, and it's good. It's a good little movie. But it's not Death Sonata. It's much better Death Sonata. Like even because he edited my friend Chris, he is my friend now, but he edited that other movie, and then he edited both. He's like, yeah, Death Sonata is so much better. It's just the story and the story in the other one's pretty stupid, but the action's cool and it's fun and but anyway, that would also help a lot of other people like the actors and crew members' careers and with credit stuff. So as of right now, that's not even on their resumes. But so anyway, that's in the past, and now it's moving on to Messiah. And Messiah, like I said, hopefully this fall or the spring. I have a town in upstate New York that I have to shoot it either fall or spring because it's like a summer town. But in the fall and spring, it's dead. And they got abandoned buildings, and it's got to look like a cult community, So hopefully I'm going to shoot there.
Oh, sorry. No, so when you were doing like the TV music videos and stuff like that in LA, which kept you more busy, if that makes sense?
The TV stuff, because when I was doing the TV show for, it was called The Film Freak. It was a radio show. It was right after Adam Carolla. He was on beforehand in CBS Radio in Wilshire Boulevard, So we would come in after him and it'd be late night, and we'd be shooting the shows. We'd film it, and broadcast it live on their YouTube channel back then. We interviewed tons of people. That's where I met Rob Zombie for the first time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's where I met Kevin Smith. That's where I met Andrew Donovan. I met so many directors. But the best part I don't know if you heard the story already, I said it on Aaron's, but Rob Zombie and we met each other that time. And then I finally saw him again when I went to his art opening in Connecticut back in November. And I'm like, yeah, man, you and I met back in 2007. We interviewed you. And he's like, I don't know, man. That's so many years ago.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like, he's like, all right, well, it's cool to finally meet each other again. This is when he was doing Halloween, the first Halloween.
Yeah.
It was fun,
Because I did some snooping and I saw a picture with you and Rob, so I was actually
you saw
ask
that?
him.
Yeah, that was back in November. So he remembered it was cool, and he's like, yeah, now I kind of... No, he didn't. He didn't remember, but...
He did that.
Yeah,
exactly. Just one of those,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was cool, though. Like, the whole... Almost 20 years later, we're meeting again, and...
Well, when you are not focusing on these projects, what type of entertainment are you into? Are you horror? Are you a movie? TV guy? What are you digging right now?
Mostly just movies. I'm not really into television just because I'm like, if I'm watching a show and it gets canceled, so what the fuck did I just watch for 2 years and the show's canceled and there's no resolution? So for TV, for me, I'll watch a show if it's complete. Like if the entire, like Breaking Bad, I didn't watch until it was complete because the show was complete. Game of Thrones, I didn't watch, so it was complete. Disappointed, but it was complete. Like, shows that only last a couple of years, I won't watch, because what's the point if there's no resolution? So TV,
Conclusion,
I'm
yeah.
out. Yeah, so movies, I love just watching movies.
Right on.
Like that's what I go into.
So with Sonata, like you said, as of tomorrow, this taping, you'll be doing a watch party. I think we might have to do one with you and myself.
That'd be fine.
Or with our group, because we have independent horror fans. Really,
yeah, I'd be happy to, man.
Awesome. We'll work that out. But
yeah, sounds good to me, man. It sounds like fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's a blast. I'll have to have the one person do mushrooms just for the shits and giggles. No, he thinks I'm joking, people, but no.
That's cool,
it's
man.
very, very relaxing. It'd be interesting and fun to do. But when do you think Messiah will be out? Because you said you had the script and all that stuff.
Yeah, script's done, and now it's just about shooting it. Budget's all there, pretty much. It's just locations and actors now. What I like to do is, like, I want to get the script's got to be done. Like, this is my process. Budget's got to be there, otherwise you can't make shit. I like to hire the crew and get the location first, and then hire the actors at the very end.
Okay.
Because I like to work with the director of photography that's the first person I hire, the DP.
Okay.
Because I want to make a shot list, the worst thing is showing up on, like, I've done movies where I've went through 4 DPs because the fucking people, the producers and financiers are morons, and we go through 4 DPs. They enlisted me in the first place because I said, this DP has his own grip, his own gaffer. Let's do it. Nope, let's hire this guy who doesn't know anybody, and then we go through 5 different ACs who don't know what they're doing. So hire a DP that has a crew with him that he's worked with before. That helps expedite the process. Yeah. So when you show up on set that day, you have the shot there. It's ready to go. You don't need to fucking think, oh, where am I going to, put the camera? That's the biggest thing. And I dealt with that before where it's like, so it's like now when you learn, you're like, yeah, you got to fucking have a good DP. You got to know where to put the camera. Otherwise, it's going to production. That movie I was telling you about, the one that hasn't been released, we went over budget by 30, 40 grand because of all that bullshit of have to shoot different days, have to change locations, this and that. Like, I've experienced the most nonsense and stuff. And that's independent film. Imagine a big budget film, like blowing 20, 30 million on that shit, so gotta DP's the first thing hire. His crew, assistant director, very important. And then find the actors you think's gonna be right,
When you were saying that, as soon as you started saying that about the DP and stuff, I was thinking of it, and I'm not speaking out of school. The story's been told, but I thought of the story from Caddyshack and Harold Ramis. First movie he's doing. Yeah. So everybody gets to set that day, and they're getting ready to start. And the DP comes over to the director and says, they got their schedule and everything. And, all right, so how would you like this shot to happen for this first scene we're seeing? And Harold goes, why don't we shoot that from looking at that direction? DP looks at him and goes, that's great and all. So you're saying you want us to move the actors' trailers, the equipment, just everything that you would have behind the camera. He goes, so you want us to move that, which will take us a half a day, to over here. He goes, how it's like, what? Why don't we go with how you have it set up?
Yeah.
It's just, and we won't say that he might have been looking through the big end of the camera and looking at the reverse that you would do with the cameras at the time. Yeah. You had me thinking of those stories, which are hilarious.
For me, it's like, let the people do their jobs, directors who are too into it, like, let the actor act. Don't be up their ass nonstop, unless it's something so tragic that you just don't think it's going to work. Let them act. They read the script. You had rehearsals. They know what to do. DP, he knows where to put the camera. The sound guy, he knows where to stand. Just action. If it sucks, then you get involved. But if it's good, let's move on. Like, it's not complicated. Like, again, that's my opinion. But it's like, you don't want to be up people's asses, because then you're just going to make them all anxiety and this and that. Like, let them act. Actors act. Yeah. Let the DP do the work with the lighting and all that. He knows what he's doing. You're a director. You're in charge, and you got to make sure that everyone's on the same page pretty much in the end. If they're not, then you come in. If I don't like this performance at a certain point, then I'll come in and say it. But if it's not good, let's do it again. Let's do it again. But if it's terrible, I got to tell you how to do it. But they know how to do it because they're actors. That's what they got to do.
Exactly. And it's funny because I don't know if you had it today, but had a bunch of storms roll through here in South Jersey, Philadelphia area. And if my roof was leaking, I'm not going to call a mechanic. Guess who I'm calling? Who am I calling? Let me guess. A roofer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I totally feel that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to follow the Death Sonata or Douglas Downing III? Where do you usually send people to come check you out?
Usually my Instagram, that's where I'm most active. It's at DC Downing 3. And then my Facebook is just Douglas Downing III. And then my IMDb page, Douglas Downing III. That's where like you could see upcoming projects more than anything. Like it just shows what I'm in the process of making. You can check out my past work there. But Instagram, that's where I'm most active.
And what about the YouTube? Because you mentioned some of the stuff being on YouTube as well.
Okay, yeah. So you can watch my cartoon Little Luis, Littleluis. That's on YouTube. It's got its own page. There's like 10 episodes. I made it from 2011 to 2014. Mission Guerrero, you can find that on YouTube. Closure, my first feature film, that I recently put on YouTube for free because I feel like the story is so... I got the distribution rights back for it back in 2000. Oh, well, not recently, 10 years ago, 2016. So I put it on for free because it's such an important story for people to see and what it's about and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much for YouTube. That's
right on.
And then Death Sonata, obviously, you can watch on Plex, not YouTube, Plex, Amazon, Tubi, and all that, you know.
Fandango, which I usually grab. That's where Zumo. I grab from all of them.
Yeah.
But Douglas, thank you so much, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate being on here, man. It was a lot of fun.
You are going to need a bigger closet when you meet our new friends.
What?
Our friends over at Silk Screams out of Buffalo, New York is a diverse owned company that has a variety of shirts to fit your needs.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Let's also not forget that Silk Screams also runs the semi-annual Buffalo Horror Garage Sale, which has tons of merchandise, celebrity guests, and tons of fun. Check our friends out over on their Big Cartel site to order stuff, or on social media for updates on merch, or on the Buffalo Horror Garage Sale. Visit our friends, like I said, at Silk Screams today.
Yeah, baby.
Hey there, it's Alan Troutman, Tarman from Return of the Living Dead, and if there's anybody you should listen to, it's me, about listening to Crazy Train Radio. Go do it. Go away. Do it now.